Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where the orchard of wisdom shows are at your fingertips. It ignites your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your body with illumination from people who have made the journey before you. They're here now to help you on your journey, on your path of self-discovery. We are funded by you, the audience, and the people we interview. If you wish to support us, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com and press on our Fund Action button. Anything is appreciated. We'd like you to sit back and enjoy the shows. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful repeat guest. I had him here in 2018. Delighted to have him back. Speak about him a great deal in other shows. Feroze, Dada. The show that we did previously was one that I really want you to go back and revisit. It's a story of the children of the revolution, children that he found in a monastery purely by accident, and the impact that he had on those children's lives and the impact that those children had on his life. A total redirect. It is a wonderful thing of kindness, caring, and consideration, and bringing to those children that have, although were loved and looked after, just didn't have the opportunities, and he brought those opportunities to those children, and now they are just thriving, which they wouldn't have been had they not known Feroze and his wife at the time. But he's back now with a new book, The Discipline, which describes a singular journey with a universal appeal on the path of perennial wisdom. There are lessons for all of us to recognize as we call from our inner spirit, our yearning for something other in a materialistic world that is often leaving us dissatisfied. In another way for us to live, a discipline asks important questions about faith, spirituality, and connects us with the power of meditation. The author believes passionately that it is meditation that provides the foundation for caring and a compassionate future. And the story is told with an endearing condor, which tales of mythology, quotations from Rumi, references to suffix texts, and all adding color to the wisdom teaching he is receiving. The wise one spoke in parables and metaphor because that is the form that penetrates and trends our defenses. When we go deeper into the part of ourselves, non-linear and non-cerebral, we are what meditation is. So let us explore the discipline, and let's explore Feroze again. Welcome back, my love. It's so good to see you.
And wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for having me back again.
Anytime. My door is always open to you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
As I said, your last story really did stay with me, and it is one I refer to a lot because I'm always talking about the beautiful art of redirect. And, you know, we're going in one destination thinking we're going there to do that. And along the way, we get the shift. And, you know, we get angry, but no, I was going over there. And it's like, if we stop being angry and ask why we're being redirected, we're really shown something that can be so transcending, so ascending in our lives, which is what happened to you. Before we go into the discipline, can we just capture a little bit of that story and the previous book and journey before we go into the discipline?
Yeah. So, Sarah, the first point is the book is called A Disciple.
Oh, disciple, sorry.
But
Maybe it's discipline I'm thinking of I need right now.
but the good thing is this mistake means that people will remember the name. A disciple, and the subheading is the spiritual path to infinite happiness.
Yep, which really is achievable. Important. It's achievable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, to answer your question, the first book, Children of the Revolution, was a physical journey that was taking place in my life, and which was finding these children by accident or by design, call it what you like, and then having the opportunity and the good fortune to be able to help them. And it's important when people say, "Oh, Feroze, you've done so much," and I would say to that, no, I have had everything from this experience. And actually, not just happiness of helping the children, but actually something deeper than that, and something which was running parallel to that journey, but I wasn't quite aware of, if you like. And a disciple, in a sense, is that spiritual journey that is taking place side by side with the physical journey of helping people. In a way, karma is operating in a parallel way so quickly that you can't even blink. So as I was, for the last 10, 11 years, spending time with the monastery, building up different facilities for the children there, water, fresh water, food, education, health. All this time I was being repaid. Repaid is not the right word, but karma was operating to give me this spiritual payback.
Which is the biggest payback you can get.
This is, but I wasn't fully aware of it. But as time has gone by, that part has surfaced to the fore, if you like, more than the physical part. And this book, A Disciple, is about that spiritual journey of awareness, if you like.
And that redirect, you went out and changed these children's lives completely. And these were children that were kind of victims of the revolution. Some of them have been made orphans, some of them have just been sent there for safety. But they had the monastery shelter and love and care, but that was pretty well it. And you're a businessman in the sense that I know what they need, and I know who and how we can get it to them. And I always think that's the perfect match, because you get people who see the need, but they haven't got the connections in order to make it happen, right? It's wonderful when you get that synergy there. But at the same time, I firmly believe we are meant to be of service to one another. That is what we're here to do. And that when we give, our receiving is in the giving. Because you cannot help but the joy of knowing it's made a difference. That is, it may be one drop in the bucket, but it's that one drop that's that difference. And you never know when it's just that one drop. And we don't give to seek praise or recognition or adulation, because really your heart and soul is already receiving that gift back. And just knowing that, however big or small, you've made a difference. And it truly is where the enrichment and the exuberance and the abundance life lies.
I couldn't have put it better.
We talked before we went onto the show about, this last couple of years of COVID and change and everything else. And yes, it's been horrific. Yes, it's putting a great deal of strain on everybody. And there's many, many people that are suffering right now, and for various means. But I always look at the suffering as a lesson. The suffering is a discovery of your courage, your strength, your abilities. It's also an invitation to redirect. And I think this is a huge redirect in the direction of awakening right now, of elevation.
Indeed. And the pragmatic things you can do. For example, if a lockdown is imposed upon you, well, you really have a choice. You can either feel lonely and disconnected and abandoned, or you can use seclusion as a way of connecting with your inner self.
Yes.
Because what happens in seclusion, is that the noise outside is turned off.
Yes.
And if it's enforced upon you, then it's even better in a sense, because you say, I can't do anything else.
Right.
I'm in seclusion.
I surrender.
I'm in seclusion. I surrender. And then the noise begins to switch off, and you begin to hear what is inside you, and you make that journey inside. So yes, of course, you can feel abandoned and isolated, but if you are inclined to consider meditation, for example, in this process of connection, it's going to be a very helpful and enriching experience as well. Of course, there are practical lessons to learn from this COVID pandemic. Of course, there are to help fellow human beings and stand up and be counted and so on. But there is also an opportunity about being more spiritually aware.
Right. The spiritual awakening. About 4 years ago, I was given a saying, the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, to change it up, and then grow up. Double turned of we need to grow up as a people, and we've kind of got rather whiny, and why what's in it for me, what's in it for me, not everything is not enough. But the grow up vibrationally to that love frequency, because when you're in that love vibration, you can't knowingly hurt anyone else because it hurts you, right? So we're seeing that shift happening. We're seeing the resistance, almost the revolution against it, right? But we're seeing that shift happen where an awful lot of people, I call it the old cosmic 2x4, where it's like, okay, I've been flattened. I can't go forward the way I've been going. It's this wonderful, take a breath, center yourself, go into your core, hear your inner voice. I don't care if you're the only person in the world, you're never alone. It's a wonderful opportunity at this time, but for a lot of people, now comes the thing, okay, all right, I get it, and I need to change, but how? Right? And maybe I was thinking discipline, for the fact that there is a certain amount of discipline in there, isn't there?
Yes, it is. Actually, in the book, there's meditation instructions or practice for everyone. For the time I spent at the monastery, the monk there taught me Anapana meditation and Vipassana meditation. Anapana is simple breath meditation.
Yes.
Just being aware of your breath at the tip of your nostrils. Just for a few minutes is enough to calm you down and allow that tension to pass. Now, this is so relevant for today's time when you see the national health workers and the doctors and ambulance people are so stressed and it's great difficulty.
Yes.
They are burnt out. Just a few minutes, from, let's say, every 2-3 hours, a few minutes out of breathing, just centering yourself, just calming down, allowing the tension to pass. And so I would say 5 minutes is enough on this exercise. On the other hand, Vipassana meditation gives you this mindfulness, insight, focus, and again, a very pragmatic and a spiritual tool. And there are lessons there in a disciple for those people who want to be a bit more serious, a bit more committed towards meditation. And the third type of meditation, which is not so well known, is the Sufi mystic meditation of the heart.
Right.
Where you activate your heart. The point of that exercise, or the purpose of the exercise, is to connect to your soul.
Yes.
And as you connect to your soul, it's just a reminder to us to say, look, this is a journey of the soul. It's not a journey of the infinite soul. And this is only a short pass.
Yes.
This life on earth.
Yes.
But this life on earth is very seductive. It's a beautiful life. It can capture you, captivate you, seduce you. But nothing is enough in this life, you see. No. It's a continuous process of seeking happiness in a material form which can never be reached.
Nope.
So the Sufi form of meditation connects you with the soul. The soul loves to help human beings, loves to good things. It's like the child we were speaking about, who's pure and joyous in their soul, innocent. And once you make that connection with this meditation, you bring these two parts of your life in harmony with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disclosing our secret well before the end of this program. but basically, it's the harmony of the body and soul that brings you the infinite happiness or peace, if you like.
The infinite wisdom, right? I'm a firm believer, people, I feel it in my gut. I don't know why I know. I call that the knowingness, and I call that the openness of the soul. But the soul's wisdom can't go anywhere if the heart is closed. The heart has to be open in order to receive the soul's wisdom. It then gives it into spirit to go into action. And our mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And we have got so caught up in intellectualism, head up, that we've forgotten to incorporate. And this is wonderful knowledge up there. It's fantastic data. The things we can do with this knowledge. But if we don't have the soul, heart, and spirit's wisdom to know how to use this knowledge, we misuse the knowledge, or we miss opportunities to use the knowledge. So that soul heart connection is your compass. It's the very core of you. It's your generator. And when you're united with it, as I said, you could be the only person in the world, but you'll never be alone.
So you see, you're so right. And you explained it so well, Sarah. But the important thing is that this is energy, this universal energy is open to all of us.
Yes.
It's not a mystery. It's a secret, but it's an open secret.
Yes.
And you just have to be sincere in the way you seek it. You have to seek. You have to seek this. You have to look for it in a sense and be open to it. Because if you're close to it, you're If you're skeptical, you're unbelieving, then it's not going to happen, in my opinion. Anyway.
No. It certainly isn't going to happen. I think you've frozen there for a moment, but the soul and heart and spirit opening is the very fuel of us. And hopefully I'll come back in a moment here, folks. We are from the UK, so we are a little bit frozen at the moment, but I will continue on while we're waiting for him to come back. But he is right. If we are not open to receive, if we put the impossible in front of our belief, then we're never going to be able to open up that heart, soul, and that spirit. But we are frozen right now. Let's see when he'll come back. So he's back. Wonderful. So really, what we need to do if we really want to reach that beautiful soul and heart and spirit wisdom is allow. We can't dictate. We certainly can't come in with doubt. It's not prove it to me, because the proof is in the immersement. The proof, everything that you need is when you become, when you are that being. But we really need to allow, without an agenda or without dictation at how it happens. Just simply allow.
I would put it slightly differently, but exactly what you're saying is that it is not about what you want. This is really important. It's not about what you want, it's about what you need.
Yes.
And often what you want is not what you need. You think you want it this way, but it's not right for you. It's not good for you.
Yeah. The universe knows better.
It's important to accept. Well, much, much better. Beyond the little molecules.
Yes, exactly.
Insignificant things. So the most important thing in this process, in this journey, or call it what you like, is surrender and acceptance. Acceptance is key because, as human beings, our ability to see is just restricted to what's happening in front of our noses.
Right.
We cannot really see any more than that. But if you believe in the universe, in spirit, then of course there's no time or space in that sort of realm.
You are everything and you are nothing.
and at every time and at no time.
Yes. What is time?
So the combination of surrender and acceptance comes really, the fact is that you just accept what is given to you because you don't really know. Because most things that look amazing at this on the face of it, example, a lottery win,
Right.
maybe, so, has destroyed many people.
Oh gosh, yes.
What might be perceived to be a good fortune is actually a misfortune. It's
Mm.
unfortunate. Whereas what it appears to be a disaster, a sadness, maybe even, it can be the most enlightening and most important thing that happens in your life.
Case in point, pandemic, right? I mean, and also the reason why it's carrying on so long and keeps manifesting into something different is that we're not that quick to learn. You know,
No.
we are resistance, you know, and it kind of reminds me of Star Trek, you know, the Borg, resistance is futile. And when you talk about, excuse me, being part of the one, people think that means giving themselves over, becoming mindless. Really, what it means is being as fruitful and abundant as you can be, so that you can bring it to that collective energy of abundance where you can reach even more people.
I think that one's own um, uplifting or growth, spiritual growth, is only measured in terms of how much you can grow other people
Yeah.
with you.
Yes. Yeah.
This is not an exercise of selfishness. It's an exercise of helping people, because as you begin to help other people grow, you will grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that exercise, the wrong word, but
Right.
part of that growth.
Discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the network is called self-discovery, and I named it that for a reason, because we're really of no use to anyone until we've made our own self-discovery. What are we here for? What's our meaningful purpose? What's our contribution? How abundant and flawsome can we be? Because when we play that beautiful instrument and we really know how to play it, we know which orchestra to join, you know, how harmoniously to create a symphony that resonates out to other people. But it really isn't about you handing yourself over. It's about being the very best you can be from the inside out, and then bringing that beautiful abundance to anybody else that needs it.
But I would also introduce um, another dimension to our discussion, Sarah, because often on the spiritual path, you do need a teacher. You
Oh
need
gosh,
somebody
yes.
who can guide you, because the spiritual path is not like a road. It says go left and go
You're
right.
right.
It's almost like being in a desert,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody has to help you from one oasis to another, if you like. And the story and the reason why it's called a disciple
Mm-hmm.
is because of when I met my master, my teacher, my spiritual master, 11 years ago, everything began to change. Um, why? Because in the Sufi tradition, the master initiates um, the way you think. It's only a
Mm-hmm.
very quick
Mm-hmm.
exercise of energy. It's an energetic
Mm-hmm.
exercise. And as this Hinduism is called turning the heart.
Right.
So, and quite quickly you begin to realize that the way you see the world is not what you want from it.
Right.
The way you see the world is what is needed for you to do.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
respond
Your purpose.
to that. Yeah,
Yes.
and correct. And then once you latch onto your purpose, then life it
More
becomes to
meaningful.
resonate.
Yes.
And of course, but everything resonates.
Yes.
That's your gift.
You're
So,
vibrating on a different level right now. You're
of
vibrating on
course,
that loving
yeah.
kindness giving, and that energy has to go out. It is not something you can bring in and hoard. The higher you step into that loving vibration, the more it is going to ripple out of you, because that is what it's meant to do. It is meant to be that beacon that goes out. And you never know who you're going to affect. You know, if it's one person, but that then one person's life changes so much that it affects the others, or maybe it's an entire orphanage. You know, You have, and look at the lives that they then ripple out and change. But don't go, I'm going to go and, get a bigger orphanage than him. No, it's not about that. You actually half the time don't even know who you're affecting, who you are igniting, who you are opening up. But by your sheer energy and the presence of your heart and soul and spirit, your energy is already kind of penetrating their defenses and sparking a light within them.
And again, of course, then in the book, I call my teacher Ustad, because Ustad means teacher, master. And he takes me to various places like Ephesus, Mother Mary's house. He takes me for meditation in the Giza pyramid, in the depths of the Giza pyramid, and various different places where we meditate and learn about spirituality. Later on, I meet another teacher, Joan Fountain, who was at the Sylvan Healing Sanctuary. She's 97 years of age. She died only a few months ago. But she was amazing because she taught me about the journey of the soul. And because she was a medium, the insights she gave in this learning, particularly on the process of passing, of dying, and how beautifully she describes this process. And then, strangely, and it's not strange, nothing is strange on this part. I've been interviewing her and writing about her, and she features a lot in my book, of course. One of the things she said in I think it was September 2019, was to predict this pandemic. She predicted this, and I think it was September 2019. But she said, people will suffer from this, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
That people are capable of changing and having a more meaningful life, a life of meditation, of what you call astral travel.
Yes.
And those beautiful things would be more interesting to human beings than, going on a good holiday or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But more important, she said this to me repeatedly. She said, I wish I could tell people that dying is a beautiful, it's a beautiful process.
Yes.
And then suddenly in the interview, she started talking to me as though she was in the afterlife, and she began to describe it, vividly. Now, that interview was her last gift to me, because 2 or 3 weeks after that, she passed away.
Yeah. She was already on her ascension journey. Yes.
Correct. And she was sharing it with me.
Yes.
And quite honestly, to me, it's given a great deal of comfort to me about dying. It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, death is not the final frontier. It is an exit of the body that we have borrowed to have this experience, this beautiful divine experience in a human body. We've borrowed this vessel. The vessel is not all. It is just what we're traveling in right now. When the vessel goes, everything that we've learned in this vessel, everything we've learned in this lifetime, ascends with us. It goes up into that ether. And if we are meant to come back and be reborn, we bring it with us, and not in a conscious knowledge, in that subconscious knowledge of that when we step into the heart and soul and the knowingness. I've been a knowingness person all my life. I would tell my teachers things they needed to know. How did you know that? I don't know. Can you repeat it? No. Do you understand it? No. I just needed to give them a message at that time that was very relevant to what they needed to know. And I've always done that. And it was, well, you've got to justify it. You've got to tell me where it comes from. What teaching is? No, I'm obviously just a conduit, for what? I'm a seer of possibilities. I am a seer of people's paths, different form of medium. I've never looked upon it as being something evil. In fact, it's been my peace. It's been my tranquility. It's been my core, my center. The biggest problem I had was being a human. So when I immersed the human along with the spirit, now I became whole. It, it is within every one of us. It's who we are. If we could take the eyes in and stop looking at the exterior, this vessel of us, and look inside at our beautiful heart and souls, and realize that's where all the enrichment and the love lies. It is, we'll be so excited to get out and share it. And I think the more and more people that elevate to that love vibration, elevate to that, I just want to help somebody. I just want to be there for someone. I'm in my enthusiasm, in my love, and my passion, and my kindness. We would start raising this vibration of the entire planet, of the, with the universe, being in tune with the universe, because the world, the planet, and everything is out of balance right now. The only way we're going to get back into balance is stepping into love, that love vibration, which is the connection to our heart, soul, and our core. And don't be afraid of death. We don't want to die painfully. Certainly not. That's not the way we want to go. But the ascension into another life is a celebration of a rebirth.
That's exactly how she put it.
Yeah.
She said, it's like a birthday party.
Yes, it is. It is.
And it is indeed, of course. But there are challenges that we in this human life have to face.
Yeah.
But the knowledge of and fear is probably the biggest problem for humanity. I think just fear is fear that drives us down the wrong road. Not just fear of dying, I mean fear of
everything.
Fear of,
living,
but
fear of living.
yeah, but the fear of death actually dictates the way you live.
Yes.
So if you take that fear away up to a point, then it eases a lot of your journey in this life. And I think this is something which is sort of lacking. Just the word death,
yes,
it's petrifying for people.
But we have many deaths along the way. We have deaths of our youth. We have deaths of the stage of life. We have death of who we used to be and as to who we are now. We are constantly having deaths and rebirths. And there are beautiful waves of ascension each time. And all of those endings that, people feel is a loss is actually a gain if you're willing to just put your eyes forward. Right? And understand that whatever happens to you is a death of what no longer serves you. And it's a rebirth of all that is possible.
In another sort of, just trying to share with your audience the things that make it easier for us to live and live meaningfully is our connection with our spirit guides.
Yes.
That every human being has access to their spirit guides.
Yeah.
Again, if they're asking in sincerity and in love and compassion, guides will come and help you. Now, it sounds bizarre in a sense, not to you, I know, but
it's comforting.
But
it's comforting.
But I like to share a story which is in my book, which is called A Disciple.
Yes, sorry. I'm thinking of the discipline we need to be in to become a disciple.
Yes. Perfect. Now, one day I was actually doing a TV program on the Sylvan Healing Sanctuary. It was a sanctuary where I teach meditation and where a lot of the practitioners do spiritual healing, energetic healing. And one day, one of my colleagues, Craig, said, "Come, Feroze, there's a message for you." And so we go into trance, and Dr. Bowers comes through. We have a conversation because Dr. Bowers said, "Thank you for doing this. And is there anything I can tell you? Is there questions you want to ask?" And then when the conversation sort of finished, Dr. Bowers, Spirit, said, "You're seeking St. Francis of Assisi." I was shocked. I mean, how does anybody know I'm seeking St. Francis of Assisi?
The universe knows all.
Yeah. So I said, yes, I have a chapter in my book on St. Francis because because home in Italy, which is where I am today, is very close to Laverna, which is the St. Francis's sanctuary. This is where he used to go and do his meditation, and that's where I go and do my meditation.
That's why you have such a connection, that energy connection.
Yeah, yes, and so Dr. Bauer said, we will help you make that connection. This is such a first-class validation of what then happens. Now, I didn't know how that is going to happen. Next morning in meditation, I hear a sound, and your inner voice.
Yes.
Says Lucio Sembrano. Who's this Lucio Sembrano? I cut the story short. Within 2 weeks, I was in Assisi at the Archbishop's house. And this is the place where St. Francis renounced all his worldly goods for Jesus. This is not a religious point. This is a point about learning, a point about leaving your ego aside, leaving your worldly matters. Although this is an extreme example, St. Francis gave up everything, of course.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that we should give up everything or are capable of for his love for Jesus or love for God or whatever. But even if we could share one grain of this humility, of leaving our ego aside and seeking a connection with something much greater than us, then I think we would gain from it. And this was the message. And how beautifully the Archbishop articulated the story, and how he sat with me and we did meditation together. Now, how remarkable is this man, a Catholic priest, as the Archbishop, and sat with me and did a Sufi meditation. How beautiful, because of this concept of oneness. This is not about religion. It's not about Catholic and Muslims. Nothing like that.
No, it's about the core truth, the core value,
it is
the
about
center.
It's about oneness.
Yes. And we all, every single one of us, has the ability to get there. We just have to learn to put the outside world aside and go inside. Now, we are human bodies, and we do need to partake in the outside world. But your outside world and your inside world shouldn't be different. You should be taking your inside world with you on the outside, right? Because that's how you change the outside. That's how you work in the outside. It's not going to church on Sunday and being, holier than thou, and then Monday to Saturday being totally different. You become a totally different person. And everything that you are on the inside, where you feel your sanctuary, your peace, your connection, is in everything that you do on the outside. And the essence of you is picked up by other people, and it changes the outside world.
Yes, I think you mentioned earlier about vibration.
Totally.
I mean,
yes. Yeah.
Einstein, of course, genius, not just in science, but actually in spirituality too. He said, everything is a vibration.
Absolutely.
Everything is a vibration.
Yes, soul frequency.
And when you work from the inside out, as you just described it, people will see it. Those who can see it will see it. Those who can't see it will still be impacted by it.
Yeah.
I remember Joan Fountain saying to me, you don't need any type of specialist teaching. Sometimes even a look can change a human being. A smile is enough.
Yes.
A hug, whatever is needed at that time is sufficient.
Yes.
So it has to be inside out.
It has to be.
And to those people who know, they can see it. And those people who don't know, slightly baffled by it. I just give you an example of my own teacher. And I used to sit with him, we're chatting, or maybe in a restaurant, and people will come to him. You just say hello, you shake your hand. And these complete strangers, they're being attracted to this energy, you see.
Yes.
And they don't know what it is. They think, I know this man, or I should go and say hello to him for the bizarre reason. So it's like a magnet. Because the vibrations are so fine that they uplift the other people around. And when
Yes.
they're uplifted, they feel they want to come to you like a moth to a light or whatever it
Yes.
is.
I want what you're having, is if I touch you, will I feel like that? It is
Yeah.
that. There's a reason why why we're all behind these people. Is that it is, it is that wonderful vibration of like, if I touch it, will I become it? And the thing is, you can become it if you're willing to really dedicate to it, to really immerse yourself into it. And as you said about the guides, nobody can walk your path for you. That's your journey. But along the way, you're going to meet many, many, many mentors, many teachers, many guides, and they're always going to pop up when you need them. I have a course that I do, which is the view of life, and it's your perspective of life. And so many people are walking through life with blinkers on, or I want this and I want that, and they're missing what they need along the way because they're not paying attention. So the teacher will come up, but if you're not ready to see or hear, you're not ready to learn. And that learning comes from being open and ready to receive on your journey of life. And it may come in the most bizarre way, but it's okay. Never question how or why. It just is. And if we could live more in the just is and experience the experience that we're in right now, then we will actually understand that is the abundance of life that we accumulate and gather our wisdom, put it in our backpack and travel with it. And it's a wonderful experience if you allow yourself just to meet people along the way without expectation, without dictation, just allow whoever, whatever to come to you. And it could even be an animal that teaches you. It could be anything. Nature will teach you, right? That there's always a lesson.
But there's a very important, talking about lessons, one of the first lessons on my spiritual path, which my master taught me. And in his spiritual tradition, lessons are learned by experience
Yes.
rather than by words.
Yes.
And I remember we were in Mother Mary's house in Ephesus in Turkey. And this is my first retreat with my master and other students. And he looked at me and he said, Feroze, I want to teach you about humility. Mm-hmm. Now, he was completely right. I mean, in the days of my successful entrepreneurial days and everything, big ego. And
of course. That's why you were successful in that path, right? Yeah.
But he knew my weakness as soon as he saw me. And he said, unless I could accept that the ego has to be, subdued. You cannot get rid of your ego. If my master said, if I can teach Feroze how to do this, and I tell you what he did, which is quite bizarre. I mean, it's just sometimes a lesson doesn't have to be a severe lesson. It just has to be a lesson.
Yes.
In the old Sufi tradition, people had to go and work in an orphanage or clean streets for 6 months, a year. This was a way to get humility. But his teaching was magical, for me anyway. He said to me, he looked at me, I remember, he said, Feroze, I want you to do something every day. Every morning, I want you to do something for me. And we were in a hotel with lots and lots of people around. He said, I want you to go every morning and kiss the hand of 5 different people in this hotel. Just go and kiss the hand,
I can
just
imagine the
down,
reactions.
So I said, I sort of lost for words and think he was joking, thinking that maybe tomorrow morning he's going to forget, it's just, but no. Next day he said, Feroze, there, that one, and that one. And, I had to go and kiss the hands of a child or a guy or a woman. And it's just bizarre. But look, I never forgot the story.
All
I never forgot the story. There was every time my ego goes up, I'm reminded of the story.
And the people that you kissed the hand of,
has to be,
the reaction they had,
of course,
perfect kiss my hand, and initially it's like, and then, Ooh, you've planted a seed. You've planted a seed there.
Correct. Yeah. So I will never forget that. And every time, as I said, I'm begin to get a big head, or ego comes in, I'm reminded of the story.
Mhm.
So it was, it didn't do any harm to anybody. It didn't cause any hardship. But what a lesson, and how
Yeah.
beautifully learned.
Yes.
So I think in life, we have to experience this learning.
Mm.
This is what it's about. People shy away from hardship and difficulties, but you have to accept those things. He said to me, he said, "This is a path of roses, but
Mm.
roses have thorns."
Thorns. Yes, exactly.
If you want to smell the fragrance, of this life, then you must also bear the hardships that come with you. But the key is to accept them both
In
without
heart,
clinging, without.
right, right. Heartache is inevitable. We don't go through this life without our heart being broken so many times. But I want people to look at a diamond and look at all the different fractals in that diamond, right? And look how strong that diamond is as a whole, all those gathered fractals, how beautiful it is, how the light catches it, how absolutely exquisite it is. All of those experiences of broken hearts, of misconnection, of redirection, all the suffering that we go through, but the courage and the strength that we learn, it's all becoming part of that fractal of that diamond. And you get stronger and stronger and stronger with each of those experiences. And then you step into becoming who you really are, why you are, and what you're here to do. And now you are that beautiful diamond that can cut through anything. Can cut through anything and has the strength of that universe and all those lifetime experiences, past life experiences, ancestral experiences. It's all there. That's why I say we're never alone. We're just a fraction of everything.
And this diamond, as you say, is being polished every
Hmm.
time there's.
Hmm. Yes, through the experience. Yes. In some ways, when you think about it, it's kind of sad that that wisdom really comes to us when we're older, on the declining years rather than the inclining years. But the even sadder thing is when the youth do not listen to the elders. Because if they listen to the elders and learnt that this is a life's journey, that there's going to be times it's going to knock you down, there's going to be times it's going to really hurt or be heartbreaking, but every time it's about getting back up, moving forward. What else can you do for humanity while you're doing for you? And realize that don't be afraid of the journey. Don't be afraid of the journey, because it's utterly beautiful.
There's a Sufi saying which says every soul is created for a certain purpose,
Yes, I agree
and
with
the
that.
light of that purpose has been kindled in that soul.
Yes.
Now, the reason I mention this is that life is not just a spiritual journey, it is also a physical journey.
Mm-hmm.
And there's wisdom in older people more often than not,
Mm-hmm.
coming to realization. The reason also is that you have to live and progress in this life, because the disciplines that are needed
Yes.
to also progress on a spiritual journey require us to focus on our physical journey as well.
Yes.
You have to learn the ways of the world, learn knowledge, have wisdom, do things, have focus, achieve
Mm-hmm.
objectives. Because when it comes to the spiritual part and the spiritual path, you also need that focus, that attention, that clarity of mind. That to make any journey,
Yeah.
you have to endure that path. You have to go on that path and walk it,
Yes.
not go off it.
No,
And
no.
so, in my mind, there are two purposes that a human being has to find out for themselves. And the earlier they do it, the better it
Yeah.
is. First is, what is their physical purpose?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do I want to cure people? Do I want to build a home? Whatever it might be, there is a purpose. But that purpose also leads to a spiritual purpose. And that's why going inside to
Mm.
find out early about your purpose and the
Yes.
reason for you being on this earth, because every human being, as this Sadi, this saint said, the light of that purpose has been kindled in the soul. So you need to touch your soul to find out.
Right. And, I'll take it even more bizarre for certain people listening. We are more than this lifetime. We are accumulation of lifetimes. And but you will find if you are able to open the door to those past lifetimes, that your sole purpose each lifetime is here to do the same thing. We're given a role. We're given an instrument to play. How we play it, who we play it with is up to us. But that instrument is our gift. I've always been here as a soul igniter from the very beginning when I first came here. I'm here to ignite the souls ready for the journey, right? What they do and who they meet along that journey, that's that person's role, right? But don't compare and don't compete, because those two things will hold you back. Just be who you are, because that's who you're meant to be, doing what you came here to do.
Well, you're a very good example. No, sorry, I'm not interviewing you, but you are a very good you are a very good example of a person who has found a physical purpose and a spiritual purpose. As you sit and talk to me, as you're sitting here, using this spear, using your knowledge of how to do these things, and also fulfilling your spiritual purpose.
Yes.
It's a very good example.
It took a while to get there, though, for the two to meet, right?
But that's what it's about.
But that's the journey, right? All the things that I had to go through to get to that point. I'm coming up to 10 years in doing this now. And, I realized this was everything has been leading me up there. I had to wait for technology. I had to wait for the gathering of more wisdom. And then I had to wait for awesome people like you to come along to share, right? But I think I need to know my meaningful purpose. I've got to do it. What is it? What is it? Don't wait to discover it before you make the journey. Make the journey and you will discover what it is.
Have faith, have insight, make your good fortune by helping others, and the path will open for you. These are all the things that have.
Let's look at physical fortune, i.e. money, abundance of, and spiritual fortune. When you put those two together, oh my God, the things that it can do, because we are human beings having a human existence, and it does take money to sustain. It does take money to plant seeds, to water them, to nurture them. It does take money to create opportunities and possibilities, right? And we do need to take care of ourselves along this journey. So I don't care if people have a lot of money, but it's what you do with it that I care about. Are you seeding those opportunities for other people? Are you there for other people that are less fortunate, that need not the handout, but the hand up?
Very good. Of course. And the more money you have, the greater responsibility you have.
Yes.
It's not a one-way street. And this is where people perhaps go wrong. And not for me to judge too much, but the more you have, the more you...
I'm frozen again. We can look at people and see where they've gone wrong. It's an observation, not a judgment. So he's back, folks. He's in Italy. Internet isn't always wonderful. And kind of, if ever we're in retrograde, it definitely interferes with it. So we might be in right now. But you were saying, about the responsibility of our riches as well as our enrichment.
Well, what I was saying is that the more money you have, the greater responsibility you have. And you can be rich and have lots of money, or you can be rich and be very poor indeed. And that's where the problem is. There's no point in having money unless it's made for your own use as well as other people's use. But above all, I think it's the same point that if we keep pursuing this path of accumulating money, accumulating goods, enriching ourselves in a physical way, then I think it takes you further away from your spiritual journey. It takes you east when you should be going west. And I think in many ways, having too much money makes it more difficult. I'm not saying, but
yeah, I agree, because not everybody, as you said, people who win the lotto and all of a sudden, all the vultures come out and it changes them completely. And then, you have to be strong with that kind of money, of how to manage it, right? There's certain management skills and how are you going to generate? Because it wasn't just given to you for you. It was given to you to sustain you, for you to share it and allow it to grow other things. And we see an awful lot of rich people in this world that it's purely about ego. I'm rich, on the books, I'm rich, but I call them the ivory towers. They're up in their ivory tower. They are completely devoid of anything knowing what's going around them, but they don't realize the very foundation that they're not looking after, all the people that keep them sustained in that tower, it's crumbling. And one of these days, those towers are going to come down. They go, but what happened? Right? You didn't share. You hoarded. And we know what happens when you hoard. It's the same with your loving energy. It's not about just for you. It's for you to share. And you can't help but share it when you're in it, because it's bursting out of you. From your very successful businessman, and you've done extremely well with that. And obviously, when it came to the children at the monastery, having all those contacts and being that successful served them very well. There was an absolute, epitome of how money can serve. And you could have been somebody who didn't have the money, or maybe didn't have the influence, and you could have perhaps immersed yourself in there and helped. But because of that gift of all of that, look at the difference you've made. But the journey you've now made with the disciple is your own personal journey of what has come out of that, of what the gift that you received, the enrichment that you've received, the abundance that you've become because of this. And in reading the book, and I want people to read both books, I want them to listen to both shows, because, one bizarre redirection has completely and utterly changed your life and the lives of everybody around you. And it's been such a beautiful awakening, and it's put you such on a wonderful divine path that you can't help but share that now, because that's you sharing the love, but you're sharing how you did it. So for people who are on that journey, and the big question always comes up, I agree, but I don't know how. And we learn from other people's experiences. So when we listen and we learn and we read from you, there's things in it. Oh, yeah, that resonates. I'm going to give that a try. Breath, 5 minutes. Just take a breath. Take a breath, breathe, be aware of your breath, be aware of the heart beating. All of those simple things that people don't think about until somebody points them out to us. So all the nuggets that you're sharing in the book now, in the shows that you've done, in the interviews that you're doing, in the book that you wrote previously, all of these nuggets can help other people step into their own beautiful abundance and become that hope and that beacon of light for someone else.
Well, I couldn't have put it better, Sarah.
So the book isn't out yet. We're January here, so it's going to be out in February in the UK.
Yes, 17th of February in the UK, and people want to buy it, just go onto Amazon and type A Disciple by Feroze Dada, Feroze, Dada, and it'll pop up, and you can pre-order it. And also just wish to say that all the author proceeds and royalties go to charity.
Wonderful.
Which is the Sylvan Healing Sanctuary, which promotes meditation and healing. And if you like the book, please spread the word.
Please. I'm a huge advocate for gifting books. I interview a great deal of authors. Books are just, something wonderful, because while you're reading a book, it's your perception of what the writer has written. right? So what does it mean to you? How do you connect to it? And a book that has an impact, it stays with you. It's constantly revisiting, and it's a wonderful gift. You can watch a show, it was great, fine, but something about a book is more personal, right? And especially when it is a shared journey, because then you immerse into it even more. I firmly believe in book clubs, as I do in podcast clubs, of listening to a podcast and each one coming together afterwards of what you felt about it, and then sharing those different perspectives, because now you have a whole picture. The whole point, folks, is share. Please share. Share of yourself, share of what you do. Don't go, well, who's going to read it if I write a book? Or who's going to do that? Who am I? I'm a nobody. We are all somebody. Every single one of us is a somebody, but our self-discovery of who that body is and what it means to the world is a part of your life's journey.
Wonderful.
How do people get hold of you? If you can give us your site, if they want to reach out to you.
Yes, if they can go on to www.inlaytrust.org.uk, and Inlay Trust is spelled INLETRUST.org.uk, and this is the site for the Inlay Trust charity, which helps the orphans and abandoned children in Myanmar. The important thing about Myanmar or Burma is that they're going through a difficult time yet again, as we all know. So there's a greater need to help the children and help other people. So please visit the charity website.
I have 3 children and a grandchild. Children have always been extremely important to me, but in the over 2,000 shows I've done, there's a continual theme. The misconglomeration of humanity, of people that are so dysfunctional, it comes back to their childhood. It always stems back to the childhood. Is it abuse? Is it neglect? Is it misunderstanding? Is it not supporting them enough of who they are? Is it education? Is it this? Is it that? And it's whatever the good intentions were, it's lacking. We have not looked after our children, and they grow up to be dysfunctional adults, and then we wonder why we have a society that is so angry all the time. So it is imperative that we invest in our children, that we give them the chance, that we celebrate who they are and what their instrument is here. Help them learn to play it. Help them find their orchestra and their meaningful purpose in life, because we all have that purpose. And when we celebrate it in our children, then we truly understand. Really, we haven't really scratched our potential yet of what we're meant to be here as human beings on this planet. Technically, we're doing great. But emotionally, vibrationally, we've got some rising to do. And when we get there, when we get to that higher level of frequency, that higher dimension, we're really going to see what we're capable of. But the investing in the children is the investing in our future. And I think it's very, very necessary that we do. And look at the impact that it's had on the children that you've invested in there already.
There's a really important, pragmatic, practical point. I mean, I think you mentioned preconditioning, in a sense, of how children are affected by the way they're brought up and all. But even the biggest problem that adults have is to react to preconditioned events. It really is a very unsettling way of living, because when we get angry, for example, much of the anger comes not from what is happening at that moment in time, but from our preconditioning.
Yes.
Even pain is related to preconditioning. And that's why meditation, and particularly Vipassana meditation, which we talked about earlier, is a technique. Probably Buddha's greatest gift to mankind was Vipassana meditation. And when you practice this meditation, you do not react to preconditioned events.
Right.
You are in the moment, and in the moment, looking at the circumstances as they play out and acting on them rather than reacting. And this is what actually that are called mindfulness. This is true mindfulness.
Yes.
It's quite a complicated, sorry, not complicated, but it requires a lot of technique and practice. But we have it in the book, how you can practice Vipassana meditation. And even if you're damaged in a sense by preconditioning, you can move away from those problems. And there's a very good technique in Vipassana meditation to be able to do so.
We are not, we're very much guided, by what's happened to us in life, but we are not our disease. We're not, the abuse that happened to us. We're not that. It was given to us in a way as a gift to learn from it and ascend from it into a greater human being. Don't get stuck in the suffering. I always say that our emotions are here to indicate how we feel. Spend the emotion, understand the emotion. Don't become emotional about the emotion, because now you're in trauma, and then becomes the drama, and there is no moving forward from that. So yeah, meditation helps you go in, and it helps you leave that out. And the more you leave it out, the more you realize you don't need it, and the more that you want to paint a different canvas for yourself.
I think Buddha said it so beautifully. This is about carrying resentments and difficulties. He said, it's like having poisoned yourself and expecting the other person to die.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. The only person that's suffering is yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, a technique in the book is a technique about letting go. Because if you can't let go, you're the one taking the poison.
Right.
The other person is, well, scot-free, really. So don't do this to yourself.
Right.
There's no question about learning a lesson. This is quite different from learning a lesson and letting go. You learn your lessons, but you let go of what has happened so that you can move forward in your life.
We look at soldiers and they come home with battle scars, and there's something that, I've got a battle scar, I got this, fighting. And we're all going to have some form of scarring in our lives, and that is inevitable. And again, I've interviewed people who the things that have happened to them should never happen to a human being, and here they are today, and they've stepped into service, and they've stepped into love, and they've stepped into helping other people on that journey of life. That courage, that strength, that ability is, there are no words to describe how absolutely awesome that is. And it just shows other people that wherever you are, whatever's happened to you, if you're willing to go through the process, there's no downloadable app, there's no quick snap, willing to go through the process of your own recovery, of your own releasing, of stepping into your own beautiful self and who you're meant to be, what's on the other side of it is so worth it. Right.
But if we can lend people a hand by
that's what it's about.
showing them certain techniques,
yes,
that will just help them.
Yes.
Then I think one does a great deal of service. Yes, of course, nobody can live this life without scars and without difficulties and so on. But acceptance is important.
Yeah.
Acceptance is important, and letting go, and for the future having a clear conscience. Now, I'm not a moralist, but it only helps you if you have a clear conscience. If you're honest, truthful about things, you carry less of a baggage. It's a practical point.
Yes.
It's not a moral point. Of course, it's a moral point, but it has this. So let go of the past, live in the present moment,
and allow the future.
And live in such a way that you, and don't carry too many burdens. Don't create too many baggages for yourself.
Yes. I mean, your prime example of your redirect that benefited so many people, you could have rested on your laurels. I've done this. Your ego could have stepped in, right? You have your own TV series now where you interview other people and the difference and their wisdom and their enlightenment. But, you decided to write a book with the techniques that have helped you to share with other people. You're not making a penny out of it. It's going to supporting these children. And that is the epitome of really what being a good human being is, right? When the beingness and the human come together, you realize Yes, it's about me being as best and abundant as I can be so that I can share what I can do with others, right? And you're sharing that now.
Yes, I'm fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate. I get so much joy and so much out of this that no money can buy. There's
Right.
not, there's not, this is this beyond, I'm the beneficiary of the greatest gifts
Mm. The
given to
enrichment and the
mankind.
abundance, right? I mean, people
Yeah.
understand the enrichment and abundance has got nothing to do with a dollar sign. A quick little story. My son last year, Thanksgiving, he owns a restaurant, and he had a Thanksgiving dinner for all of his staff. And I've always done what are you grateful for? So we did what you're grateful for going around. Had us all in tears because it's been very rocky for restaurants during this time period, right? And many of them have come from bigger restaurants. He's just a small one. And they've all said that they took the pay cut, that they left the corporation because they felt they belonged. They felt it was a home. They felt that somebody cared. And this is my son, so I'm very proud that they feel like that with him. But it's about stepping into heart and doing something you love. And it's not about the paycheck, as long as the paycheck can sustain a lifestyle that you would like. It's about how enriched are you by what you're doing, right? Big or small, how enriched are you?
Yes, but the beginning of all that is gratitude.
Right. Yes.
If you are grateful,
Mm-hmm.
if you sincerely express gratitude, then everything will begin to change for you because with gratitude, sincere gratitude, comes love and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that is a direct impact of gratitude.
And love and compassion feels
And
so good, doesn't it? It feels
yeah,
so
yes,
good.
yeah, yeah, it is
Yeah.
exactly that. And
Yeah.
but you have to be grateful for everything, grateful for this life, grateful for everything that is given to you. You
The
know,
good and the bad,
of
right?
course, because they're meant to be for your learning.
And to remember looking forward, what you seed is what's going to grow. Be mindful of what you plant. Don't forget to water it. Don't forget to nurture it. Don't target its roots. Allow it to grow. And it may grow into something totally different to what you planted, but it is what you need.
And it'll bear fruit for you and for others.
Exactly. Exactly. And of course, they can find your TV series on your site as well, right?
Yes, indeed. Everything is on the Inlay Trust, INLE Trust website. And
Exactly. And they can, find the Koying Water, the books,
yeah,
news, TV series,
yeah,
watch and listen, the
yeah,
gallery, everything
yeah.
is there.
Yes,
And
yes.
I do invite people, please, to go back and listen to his other show. All you have to do is just selfdiscoverymedia.com and in the search engine put Feroze Dada there. And the other show where the whole journey of how that came to be. And now, it's a few years on since I've spoken to you and just, where they all are now. And you were chosen to kind of wash up on those shores. You were chosen in that redirection. And we look at something, I don't know how I ended up here, but it's because we were chosen. We didn't dictate the journey or where we wanted to be. We partook the journey in the moment, and it took us to where we needed to be.
See, opportunities are given to us,
Yeah.
to all of us.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be aware and take them and recognize that
Yes.
opportunity. And once that opportunity is gone, it does not present itself again. And that's
No.
really important. You've got to act.
Yes. Yes.
With that voice inside you, really is the one to listen to and say, this
Yeah.
is it. I think we have to do this. And
When you allow your heart to be ignited and allow it to feel, really feel, and it could be, watching a squirrel running up a tree, a child laughing, the wind through the trees. When that heart opens, that soul starts to speak to you, and it will speak in a beautiful language. You've just got to be open to receive. And when you receive and you allow and you're present and you go on that journey, I promise you, couldn't paint that canvas for yourself. the universe can paint you a canvas that is just beyond any form of our imagination.
Is beyond the imagination.
Yeah,
The
extraordinary.
beauty is, the beauty is beyond what you can imagine.
Yes. No, I don't think they've even come up with words for it yet. So supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's been an absolute delight having you back here again, and I hope you come back again down the road. As I said, I often refer to you in the shows that I'm doing because it's just one man's journey. I know your wife was with you, but just that redirection and the wonderful impact that it's had. And some people, they strive for a direction, and that's their impact, that's their instrument. But it's those things that happen to us in life when we're not looking. Those are the beautiful nuggets. And if we're just open and ready to receive, with an open heart and an open soul, A, we're never alone. B, we'll be shown what we need to know in the now. Don't worry about tomorrow, because if you plant the seeds well today, tomorrow will grow.
Well done.
Been wonderful to see you here again. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so please, folks, remember that this book, it goes to support the children there, and they need it. They are now, for the education they've received in the last few years, and now have become teachers and reteaching their children. And just look at that ripple effect that keeps going out over and over again. So the book is going to help you on your journey of your own self-discovery, of the how-to, the why-to, the little lovely nuggets that are in there, and it goes to supporting those children as well. So wonderful win-win. So you want to show us the book? You've just got the first copy?
Yeah.
The disciple, not the discipline, but the discipline of becoming the disciple. the allowing, the immersing yourself into it. Just let it be. Let it be. Thank you so much, Feroze, and to everyone else out there.
Thank you, Sarah.
We wish you a wonderful
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. Please tune in to our selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows, and you will see all the other genres that we have from you. Every week on Tuesday, we bring you new shows from illuminating people. If you know someone that should be interviewed, please contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Now stay tuned for your next show.